Welcome everyone. This your boy Ken Dominic. This is my wife Ashley. Listen, we're gonna join today right here at the iBelieve pit stop. Listen, we believe in God to do extraordinary things in our life on this show. Listen, you gotta tell somebody, get on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. If you're old school, go to MySpace. Tell somebody that, hey, the iBelieve pit stop is on, only for 30 minutes. And listen, we're going to give you some information that's going to bless your life. We're going to be talking about love, sex, and relationship. Yes, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. But we're going to give you this this unusual approach to the Bible to make it applicable to where you are today.
So we're ready, we're excited. So today our topic is communication. So Pastor D, let's get right into it as we first introduce you the 3 different types of love that the Bible talks about.
And I think that's important as we set the platform and the foundation for this series that we'll be talking about for the rest of this summer, because it's important to know that everything begins and starts with love, because we know that God is love. And we know He's love. He loved us so much, and He said in His Word in John 3:16 that He gave His only Son. That those who believe it on Him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And what good news do we have to know that He loved us so much that He gave His best for what some would say was His worst. So I'm just excited that God loved me enough that He gave Jesus Christ to die for all of my sins and all of my unrighteousness. What amazing love is that He would do something of that nature. So whenever you begin to talk about relationships, love, and sex, you gotta start with the love component, right? Because Lady D, I promise you, it's the foundation for that which we believe in.
That's right. And so the first one we're going to talk about tonight is agape, so unconditional love. And so oftentimes we've quoted all of our lives John 3:16 and how much God loved us. So tonight we're going to talk about what's unconditional love.
But that unconditional love is when I love you in spite of your faults and your failures. And I think we get away from that because we say, well, I love you until. And that's not real love, because God loves us. Listen, I've been jacked up, I've been messed up, I've made some mistakes, but yet He still chose me for the assignment that I'm called to do. Right. So that lets me know that it's true love. And I think people need to know today that, listen, all of us come with faults and failures.
Right. And so an example I like to use is I like to tell and remind all of us that no matter where we've been, no matter where we've come from, it doesn't matter what you smoke, it doesn't matter what you've drank, God loves you no matter what. And a lot of times we feel like that we're out there by ourselves, but the truth of the matter is we've just stepped away or we've backed out from God, but He's never left us.
Wow. That's good, because that takes to the Bible. He said, I'll never leave you, nor will I forsake you. So even in the midst of our storms and trials, He's still right there. But not only do we see the agape love, which is love for mankind, that Jesus shows to all of us through John 3:16, but then only we have what we call the philia, or some would say the philia, which is the love that exists between friends. And I think that in order for me to love my friend, I got to first of all love Jesus. And I think that so many friendships are on rocky roads because we want that relationship to be perfect. But it won't be perfect. It has some imperfections, but we can still love each other past all those because we're friends.
And I think a lot of the times we try to put our friends on a pedestal and make them gods in our lives.
Wow,
that's good. Every time I have
a
problem, I don't need to call my friend. We ought to be calling on God, but oftentimes the first thing we do, we got to post it on Facebook, we got to call our friend, we got to text our friend, and so instead of looking at them as people, we start making them gods. So we got to make sure that we love our friends and we love them in spite of their mistakes. I don't have any perfect friends. I don't know about you.
I don't have none.
Even when they mess up, even when I'm jacked up, they be like, look, Ashley, you got too much going on. You need to straighten that out. You didn't have to say that. That's what friends do. We love each other, but we correct each other too when we're wrong.
I think it's important. You touched on something, you said something, I don't know if you realize what you said. You said, hey, Ashley, let's get together. And I want to make sure people understand, listen, it's not about a title. It's not about pastor this, bishop this, apostle this, deacon this. No, it's not about that, because the Bible teaches us. I love what Dr. Jamal Bryant makes it very plain. He said, listen, God said in His Word, I'll make your name great. And between friends, listen, I got some of my partners, listen, he on the phone talking about some, hey, Pastor Dominic, he like, what's up, kid? How you doing? And knowing that, hey, God will make my name great because of our friendship and our connection, we can still love each other because it has nothing to do with the title, but it's about our connection with one another.
And let me add this real quickly. So also, not only that, but what you just said. So some of us, we know where people know us from by what they call us.
Wow.
So we got people that call us, Ashley, if people call me Joseph, I know they know me from a long time ago. you got to know where your boundaries are with people. So I don't get offended if people call me names that I've been known by in the past.
Yeah.
That just lets me know that we have history together.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I find, especially in the body of Christ, that we get offended. Because people call us by those names, but the truth of the matter is, you're my friend, and that's why you have the right.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, because I'm one of them. I was walking back home in Baton Rouge to the mall of Louisiana, and somebody shouted out, "What's up, Ken?" And I looked around, I said, God, he had to know me from like at least 20 years ago to call me Ken. But I didn't get offended and say, hey, man, I'm Reverend now, I'm Pastor.
Exactly.
Nah, man, just have a conversation, because it's in the midst of all that, we could be an example and lead that person to Christ. And and not only do we have that friendship love, but then also we have what we consider storge, which is that love that exists between family members. Now this is the one that should be tricky, but yet it can be tricky. Because I don't care who you are watching online, you got some folk in your family that work your last nerve.
Right.
And my grandma told us, listen, she said, boy, you can pick your friend, but you can't pick your family. And I said to myself, I wish I had a hand in that, because there's some folk in my family, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
It's true, and we all have those.
Yes.
It's not just one family or the other family. And a lot of people say, oh my God, that family's so dysfunctional. But if we look at our own family, we'll be like, okay, that was us right there too. It's just flipped over. A lot of us have that uncle that we all talk about. Yeah, we may not like what he does, but we still love him because he's family. Some of us, we even have sisters. Some of us have parents. Some of us have grandparents. We don't agree with what they say, but the Bible teaches us to love one another. And so that's what it's talking about right here in Romans 13 when we're talking about loving our family.
Yeah, and I think it's important, because whenever you understand what true love is and you love one another, then that helps open up for great and positive communication.
Right.
Because even throughout today, things going on in today's society, but we got to get back to the place where we have effective communication, not just with my best friend, but with my wife, with everyone you have. And we deal with relationships, it's hard to have effective communication when you don't have true love.
Right.
And I'm not talking about love, that sexual love, which is eros, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. I know everybody won't talk about sex. If you're from the old school, you're 20 years ago, the old rap, so let's talk about sex. Okay, I'll come back. All right, but making sure that we know building relationships does not matter what the background is. We gotta have love to produce effective communication. And tonight we want to give just a few. We want to talk about some communication roadblocks that block our communication. And many of us, we must understand that. Listen, you deal with communication. Listen, the first thing is, I know it's gonna get a little tricky on tonight. All my sisters, you watching? Please don't inbox me, don't tweet me, don't Facebook me. We gotta talk about this. It's sarcasm. Sarcasm. And whenever you understand sarcasm, sometimes some people, and I'm gonna go in there because hey, this is our show. We're gonna talk about it. Women can be sarcastic at times. Come on, talk about your sarcasm. Talk about sarcasm.
Out there, so let me just go ahead and vouch for myself. Honesty is the best policy, right? So sometimes I find that sarcasm is the only way I know how to communicate. And I've been doing it so long that it becomes a habit. And as he would tell you, he feels it's a bad habit. And sometimes sarcasm is not that you mean any harm, because if you meet me and my circle of friends, we use sarcastic humor. We like to have fun, but it also can be dangerous.
Yes.
Why can it be dangerous? It's dangerous because sometimes that sarcastic humor, you'll find that it hurts people's feelings. And so you'll be talking and having an inside joke, being sarcastic with people right in the room, saying negative things, and you're really being harmful rather than being helpful.
Listen, I agree with you 100%, because we're in the school system dealing with kids, and I'll be about to fall out.
Right.
Because in the classroom, y'all pray for me. Listen, I promise you, I need therapy.
The teacher's not supposed to laugh at house.
I need therapy. Pray for me. But I'm sitting there laughing like, sweetheart, they're talking about you. And you're laughing at yourself.
Right.
And because people are being sarcastic, and we need to know that if we're going to have effective communication, we can't be sarcastic. We got to speak the truth in love.
Right.
That's what Paul tells us.
Right.
We got to speak the truth in love. And I think it's hard for sometimes people, because when you're trying to say something and you just don't get it, you know, then you begin to.
That's me.
All right, I'm praying for you too. They just don't get it, and now you say, okay, I can be sarcastic, and then when you be sarcastic, now when I realize that you've been sarcastic, now I'm mad, and I'm like, okay, well, who do you think you're talking to?
Right.
And before you know it, we have an argument about something so simple.
Right.
Because of sarcasm.
So sarcasm, it can fall into that category Grandma and Mama always taught you about. The way you say it.
Yes, yes.
It's not what you say, but it's how you say it.
Yes, yes, yes.
As I've been preached that all my life. So you got to make sure that you say it the right way, not just your words that you choose, but the way it comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, I think that's effective to know that if you're going to have effective communication, sarcasm cannot be in your conversation.
Right.
You got to speak the truth, and you got to speak it in love. But not only do you speak the truth in love, one of the other communication roadblocks, it's exaggeration. Exaggeration.
Yeah.
Exaggeration. You know, how can I put it? You know, you got those people in your life that, you know, they stretch the truth.
They stretch it a whole lot. You can't believe anything they say. Everything you know is a lie. If they tell you they cooked what you say, I better go over there and see it.
Yeah. I promise you, you can hear the rain outside, and they tell you it's raining.
Right.
You probably gonna go outside and check it because you just don't know. Now some would say exaggeration is synonymous to lying.
Right.
If you try to put it in a worldly perspective, some would say it's a little white lie.
Uh-huh.
You know, I didn't tell all the truth.
So,
but, you know,
so let's take an example on why exaggeration is dangerous. So women, if you're dating this guy and you go out and you meet him and he says, well, I want to tell you about myself. First of all, any man who wants to talk more than you, that's a problem, but we'll visit that later. So he says, well, I work down there at the bank. So on the first day, you assuming that he must have an office at the bank. He at least a teller at the bank. He not just in there doing nothing. Well, come to find out you've been dating him now. You're going 3 months into it. Now he'll tell you he's sweeping floors at the bank. So now he doesn't work at the bank. He's actually cleaning up at the bank. If you tell a person something like that, even if you're leaving out information or you're adding it.
Hold. Time out. Flag on the play. All right. So now are we saying it's a problem with the man working sweeping the floors at the bank?
It's not a problem with him sweeping the floors, but be honest with me. Because this is why. If you tell me that little white lie, oh no, he didn't got information.
He said he worked at the bank.
So he could have said he was the president at the bank. That's over exaggerating. So basically,
but that would be the truth. He just said I work at the bank.
All right. So what he's done now is not over exaggerating. He didn't tell you he made all the money at the bank. He's under exaggerating because he didn't tell you the truth. So he's really sweeping the floor rather than being honest with you, saying this is what I do for a living.
Okay, all right. See, now let's throw a curveball in the show. Okay, let's throw a curveball in the show. I'm throwing a curveball in the show. So is something wrong with the man that sweeps the floor at the bank? Is he not good enough to be your man?
Of course he is. If you were sweeping the floor, I'd love you anyway.
Child, please. You know good with
No. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about exaggeration. So if you're exaggerating, whether it's over exaggerating, saying you make a lot of money, or you're not telling the complete truth, you're under exaggerating. If you don't speak in truth, what's wrong with our communication? So now I'm building a relationship based on lies. And so if we exaggerate.
Okay. I can go with that. I can go with that. And I think it's important for everybody that's watching to understand and know that in this season we got to make sure that we. I keep going back because I have an old school spirit from time to time. That listen, you got to say what you mean and mean what you say. Right. And sometimes we can say statements another part of exaggeration is just being vague. Leaving out certain things. And I think it's important that if you're going to have an effective relationship, not just with the opposite sex, but with one of your partners, if you're a man, and one of your girlfriends, if you're a girl, I mean that in a different sense, okay? All right, but you're making sure that, hey, we are honest and we're upfront and we're telling the truth about what we're saying, what we're doing, so that we don't have any surprises down the road. Because we found out those are major communication barriers, and now we set a precedence right there that, hey, everything you say now, I got to begin to question.
Right.
In a relationship, you want to have effective communication, but not only effective communication with one of those communication roadblocks is exaggeration. But this next one,
he's picking on us tonight.
I'm coming for y'all tonight. It's this word is called nagging.
Right.
It's called nagging.
Right.
If you're riding in your car or you're watching your computer or your cell phone, this honk your horn.
Right.
Just say something. Listen, you can log into the chat. We'll talk with you tonight. Listen, nagging can drive you up the wall. And I think if most men will be honest, this is one of the men's number one pet peeve. If you're nagging.
All right, so ladies, I told you he picking on us tonight, but next week, I'm telling you, we coming for the men, so y'all stay with us. So nagging, what is it? I ask you to do something. So I use this example. If I ask him to take out the trash, I want something done. It doesn't matter what the task is. I want to complete it. What?
Right there.
Right
Lord
there.
Have mercy.
And I know it's a bad habit because I feel like when people ask me to do something, I do it right then. And so as women, we oftentimes find ourselves getting caught up in asking people to complete tasks, whether it's our boo, whether it's our spouse, our children, and then what happens? We rush them to do it, or we ask them over and over. So that's what nagging is. Why do you say you don't do it, but you do?
Okay, let's break this down. Okay. We know, let's take an example right now. Tomorrow night is going down. It's the NBA Finals.
Right.
And I think it's important that when you ask somebody something, you gotta have realistic expectations. So if you know the man is watching the game and he's sitting back, cocked back, laid back, chilling and watching the game, why would you ask him in the middle of the game, to take the trash out?
True.
And then if he waits till halftime, well, I asked you to take it out 30 minutes ago. Well, I mean, does it matter as long as what you ask gets done? Let's talk about that.
All right. So no, you shouldn't just ask somebody to do something, especially when they're doing something that is important to them. And see, a lot of times with women, they don't get involved in sports, so they don't care whether or not the man watching a game or watching his favorite show. However, let me just put this here. If it's on DVR, you can pause it and come back. All right? I'm just trying to justify myself, okay?
Well, I mean, that sounds hip and with technology. But now the other advantage or disappointment with technology is that you got Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So now, you put it on DVR, you done missed 3-4 minutes of the game, take the trash out, and on Facebook or something, you watching that, and you're like, wow, I'm way behind, and now you're like, oh shucks, I missed all this, and I got to fast forward, go through all that. So I think it's important. Listen, y'all, we have a little bit fun with this, but did you understand that if we think nagging is not a roadblock, it is. Yeah. Because not only can women be nags, but let's go and put it on the table, guys. Guys can nag too.
Right, and some of them, it's not nagging to them. Truth of the matter is, if you got the kind of man that's keeping tabs on where you go, every second you walk out the door, he calling you 5 minutes later, that's nagging. That's keeping up with you, and that's a whole lot of issues that we need to discuss, but not tonight. But everybody has the potential to be a nag, all right? But on the flip side of nagging, because they always put that on us, but something else that falls into this category is whining. Because what is whining? It's a form of complaining, so it's nagging. So now let's bring the men in on this. So anytime you got something wrong, you sick, you don't feel good, you just can't move, you're getting ready to die, whining can be a communication roadblock because there's a place for everything. And so women don't mind taking care of their sweet babies, but sometimes it comes to a point where you be like, okay, get a grip. Stop all that. I got to worry about these kids. So whining can also be a roadblock.
Okay. You put my business out there for everybody. All right. Listen, I know. I need prayer. Okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I do whine. Only time I whine is when I'm sick. Okay. Only time I whine is when I'm sick. All right. I am a big baby. And she does a great job. Of taking care of me. But I do need you to know that there is another form of what we consider nagging and complaining. I think it's important to know that all these things, and we laugh and we cry, have a good time with it, but you'll be surprised at these things that become a communication roadblock.
Because if you look back over the relationships you have, whether you're dating or as friends, sometimes or even just people you meet, a lot of these things separate you from that person, and sometimes we don't even realize it at the moment. Some of us, our relationships have been broken up because the person whined too much. They too needy. That's our favorite right there for some people. Yeah. Ooh, so and so is needy. I can't be bothered with her. Ooh, he needs too much time. I don't have time for all that. So we got to make sure that we reassess our relationships in our life, not just with our spouse, but with everybody that we're connected to, and make sure that these roadblocks aren't in place.
Yeah, I think it's important, because whenever you're dealing with nagging, and when people get frustrated, it pushes us into our next topic that we want to talk about tonight, and we're kind of close out this one. It's kind of a serious topic a little bit, but I think it needs to be addressed with so much going on in the world today, and that one we look at is called name calling. Name calling. It's a communication roadblock. I'm talking about that is a red flag. And I want to take a moment, if you would allow me to, just to get serious for a moment and look you dead in the eye and tell you, listen, it's never okay to call a woman out of her name.
Right.
It's never okay to call her anything what was on her birth certificate, because men, we have to understand that how many times we've gotten into arguments and even fights because somebody called our mama a female dog.
Right.
Somebody called our mama out of her name, call her a garden tool, or our sister, and so we got to make sure that we're not perpetuating that ignorance into our own relationships.
Right.
And it's very, very important. Respect that individual, but not only men respect the women, but women can name call as well.
And a lot of times I think you find this problem when we get angry or we disagree about something. If I call you a name that you know is going to offend that person, I automatically get your attention. And so what we've got to do as people, we've got to get better with figuring out how are we going to communicate with one another. How can you get my attention without calling me out of my name?
Yes, I think that's important. I think that's important that we understand. Listen, in this season, we want to make sure that we're being effective in everything that we do.
Right.
In fact, everything we do, and name calling cannot exist in a healthy relationship.
Right.
And I want to tell you, I want to trade here too. Be careful even playing around with it, because sometimes in a joking manner and we playing around and quote unquote having fun. Now when you strike that nerve and the other person gets mad, now it goes to a whole nother level. Or when you've joked around on Monday and Tuesday, but on Wednesday having a bad day and you want to play, and now they get frustrated, and now it becomes a big argument. And that's why I kind of put this in this order, because nagging sometimes can lead into name calling, because nagging brings about a frustration, about an aggravation at times, even with the whining or the complaining. And now we begin to do name calling, and it's never okay to call anybody outside of their name.
And I want to challenge y'all, not just for your own relationships, but this is something we can sit down and talk to our kids about, because we find out, because we work in the school system, that name calling is something that occurs every day.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what kind of school you go to. It can be the best private school, the best Christian school, the worst public school, a charter school. Wherever your kid is and they're around other people from different places, they're going to be exposed to this type of behavior. We got to make sure as adults that we're preparing them on how to deal with this, because how many fights do we see, no matter where we are, between kids, because they call somebody a name on the wrong day.
Yeah, and so I think it's important in having a healthy communication and effective communication.
Right.
There can't be any sarcasm. There can't be any exaggeration. It can't be any name calling. It can't be any nagging.
Right.
We got to speak to one another and communicate to one another and make sure we're doing that effectively and to the best of our ability.
Right.
And I want to challenge you today that in your relationship, and listen, not just with the people you know, but even the people you don't know, making sure you're respecting all humankind, respecting all authority, respecting each other as one another in Christ, as Christ loved us and respect us and loved us so much. We are to exemplify that toward one another, because we must understand we are a resemblance of love. We are a resemblance of love. And I want to take a little excursion here for a moment. I'm even looking at the shirts that we have on. Team Dominic. I teach my kids, hey, we make sure that no matter what's going on, hey, you represent the family name. You represent the family name at all times. And knowing that, listen, when you go out in public, listen, you can't just do and say anything. You gotta make sure that you represent name call. So listen, you can't name call somebody else and then have on the Team Dominic shirt.
That's right.
That doesn't work, because you represent the family.
Right.
And not only represent us, but because we represent Jesus Christ.
Right. And a lot of times we forget that we do represent the kingdom. We go to church day in and day out. We go around and we don't even tell our coworkers, girl, I'm a member of so-and-so church. My pastor know he preached Sunday, but then we'll go in the break room and cut somebody out or call them out their name. So we got to make sure that we realize that we represent somebody bigger than us.
Yeah, I think it's important. Listen. I want to challenge you. Listen, in your relationship, make sure that when you do a self-evaluation and know that, hey, these principles that we talked about, making sure that these things are not present in my relationships, and not just with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but with your friends, with your family member, making sure you're speaking the truth in love. And listen, I don't know about you, but listen, I have really had me a good time there. I've had some fun tonight. Listen, you're going to have to tune in next week. Listen, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be off the chain. It's going to blow your very mind. And I want to challenge you. Listen, get on the phone, tell somebody, text somebody, let somebody know that, listen, we're live online doing our Bible study, and it's going to shift and transform your very life. Get some of your co-workers, your homegirls, your homeboys around, and listen, we're going to have fun. We want you to encourage you to listen, be a part of the chat session. You can chat and be a part of that. We're answering some of your questions live online, because we want you to be involved. We want this to become an interactive Bible study, because we understand that, listen, you may not have an iPad, but everybody got their cell phone with them everywhere they go, and you can log in online and watch us live every week as we do our online Bible study. It's going to get deep. Listen, this is just touching the surface. This is just touching the surface, I promise you. But it's going to get real deep. So I want to encourage you to tell somebody and get on next week, so we can certainly be a blessing, not just to Shreveport, not just to Louisiana, but to the whole world. Because we have people watching us all over the world this week. It's phenomenal. And listen, just before we go on tonight, listen, if you want to say, hey, I want to be a part of the iBelieve family, I want to partner. Listen, we got some iBelieve t-shirts. In our very life. Listen, just before we go, I want to challenge you. Click on the Give Donation button. Understand this: the gospel is free, but it costs us to get it out to the entire world. And I want to challenge you tonight. Sow that seed tonight. Sow that seed. Listen, I'm not about to tell you sow the seed and you'll get a house in 7 days, because I don't have time to play gimmicks and games. But I do know the law of reciprocity. If whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap.
Right.
So listen, we're bringing this Bible study to you live online. Technology costs. So I want to challenge you. Listen, click on that give button. Sow that seed. Sow that seed. Listen, if God may press in your heart, sow a minimum seed of $20, $10, whatever it is. It could be a blessing to this broadcast. So I want to encourage you to do so. We need your help in helping us get this gospel out to the entire world. So listen, we're going to get up out of here. This your boy Ken. This is my wife Ashley. And we thank God for you. And listen, tell somebody this time next week, we'll be right here at the pit stop. And whatever you do, never forget to shout, I believe. Peace.